Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about a yarn that is not wool. I have this Cascade Cherub Aran yarn. So if you remember from before, I talked about how I have a rule that any yarn that comes into my possession is going to be worsted or Aran weight medium 4 yarn. And that is what this is. This is a medium 4 yarn. I've been using this yarn almost since the beginning of my journey in June 2022 because one of the main things that I've been making are whales. So what you are looking at actually is a little whale. I make them in batches. I do all of the tops at once. The fins are made with the top of the body, so they are not a separate piece I have to sew on because I am lazy and because these often get bought by parents that are giving these to small children, and children may or may not know how to actually be gentle with their toys, and so I was worried that a child would try to yank off the fins and stuff. They will see that they could potentially yank them off because they're only sewed on. These are part of the actual structure of the tops. So I go through and make all the tops, and then they just sit in a bag for a long time until I decide that I have enough or I've run out and I need to actually stuff them. And that's when I go back with the white Cherub Aran and I go through and I stuff them. And when I stuff them is also whenever I touch the eyes. So I do at least one round of the belly, and then I put on the eyes, and then I just finish decreasing, close it up, and that's the toy done. So what you were looking at in terms of color is what is called a Cherub Aran print. And I think I don't have the ball band in front of me to look at it for the exact measurement. Let me pull it up while we're chatting here. But I believe it's the exact same. I know it's the exact same materials as the regular Aran, which is the medium 4. It is 55% nylon and 45% acrylic. Wool & Co. Yeah, so they're the exact same. The regular Cherub Aran is 100 grams or 220 meters. And the Aran Prince, which is what you're looking at, is also 100 grams, 220 meters. The color that you are looking at is, I want to say it's cranberry. Rinkside. It is called Rinkside. It is 708 Rinkside. So the Aran print from Wool & Co. is about $6.50 at the time of this recording. I did buy it from Wool & Co. because they have free shipping and I was getting other yarn from them anyways. The other stuff that I buy is regular Cascade Cherub Aran from my local store, actually. And it's usually pretty affordable, like $3 or something, $4. It's very affordable for me to just go ahead and buy it. So I have been using the white all by itself because I use it because it is soft in the sense that it is silky. So if you pick it up in your hand and you run your hand over it, it feels soft in the sense that it feels silky. It's very smooth to the touch. It is not like I have one other yarn that's synthetic that I need to eventually get rid of. It is not like slippery. It is smooth. It's the best way that I can describe the difference. Although the hook that I use is the clover. I want to say the Amour is the kind of hook that I use, which is like a powdered steel hook, which works very well for all the yarns that I've used. I don't think I've had issues with really any of them. So this is a medium 4. It's on the thinner side, which is why it's called Aran, which is weird because Whenever I Google it online, Aran apparently is the word for the thicker variation, but I've also seen it used for the thinner variation. So this is definitely the thinner variation of the worsted weight. It's almost a 3 in terms of its weight. Instead of being a 4, it's almost a 3. Uh, so why am I using this? It's synthetic. Well, first and foremost is I had white on hand still from my previous purchases, and I know that I'm going to be making whales in the next couple of weeks. So I needed a color to close the stomachs with, and for the last year, I've just been using the Cherub Aran white to do that with because it is, again, smooth, soft, silky, and it's consistent. I know what its problems are. I know that it goes really quickly and that I'm not sitting there crocheting with it. I am doing one row, stuffing, doing the eyes, and then doing more rows, increases, decreases, whatever. I'm not sitting there crocheting. I'm doing other activities with it. So my arm gets a technical rest because it's doing other activities. This whale you are looking at, and the other ones that I have to stuff as well in the last couple of days, is my first real instance of making whales, really testing this yarn. Can I use it for regular amigurumi? Number one, in terms of its grist, which is the overall diameter of the yarn, I probably could because I use Cascade 220 and Barocco Vintage. Both of those are the thinner side of worsted weight yarns. They're dainty. And even after I've blocked some of them, they have not bloomed out to being like gigantically thick. So I do think that I would be able to use this Cherub as a substitute or as a stripe or something without really interrupting the integrity of my overall toy. I could even use it to make pom-poms, and I think that would be perfectly fine. Would I recommend this for amigurumi? Yes. It is very easy to frog. It was very easy to make a magic ring. The toy that you're looking at was made with a 3.5 millimeter hook. I've kind of made the rule that every single whale is made with a 3.5 millimeter hook, and if I need a bigger whale, I just increase more than I normally do. However, because this is a dainty yarn, and most of my whales before this were made with either a cotton, which was the Lily Sugar and Cream, or the I think it was the Red Heart and the Big Twist. And those are definitely chunkier worsted weights. And so those would get about this sized whale tennis ball, just about tennis ball sized whale with 30 around. These whales, because I knew this going into this, that they are daintier yarn, I needed to go up to 42. So these have one more round of increases in them than most of my other whales, just because the yarn is thinner. I am testing this yarn, so this colorway, the Rinkside Aran print, is my test. 1, I needed to test it anyways, and 2, I needed blue, and Rinkside has a lot of blues within it without it being like an actual solid. This makes me want to look into heathers in terms of colorways. So what I might be doing when I make more whales after this yarn is out, which I'm almost done with it, surprisingly. I only got one ball. When I'm done with it, I actually might look into heathers for the whales because I think that just adds. This isn't a true heather, but it adds just like a very nice look to them where they look just a little bit antique, if that makes sense. Like it's not rustic. It looks like antique, and I like that. So I think that's what I will go with, is I'll go with a heathered. And I know that Cascade 220 offers some heathers. I don't know if they offer multiple blues because I would want more than one color of blue in a heathered variety, but I might look into that. I'm starting to get worried that eventually I'm going to just need to dye my own yarn, but that's a problem for future me and not current me. So what does it smell like? crayons. I mean, it's 55% nylon and 45% acrylic. It is synthetic, so it's not going to smell nice like wool does. I love the smell of wool yarn. I've yet to find a wool yarn that doesn't smell nice to me. I've had ones that have a stronger smell of wool than others, but the smell just smells nice to me. I'm guessing that's the lanolin. But this, yeah, it smells like a crayon. There's no real other way to explain it. It just smells like a crayon. Um, yeah, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like it's a toy. If you want it to smell nice, wash it first. Like wash your yarn before you turn it into a thing, unless you don't want to wash it right away. But it might take a while to dry. Is kind of my instinct. The washing instructions are machine wash, warm, and tumble dry, so it can go in the washing machine if you want. But my skill set has basically all of my skill points have gone into amigurumi, not into garment or house decor. So I don't know how those would turn out. Because of that, I have no idea how this would respond with pilling. And I have no idea how it would respond if you took a pet brush to it and try to like fluff it out to get like a more hairy look. It does have a halo to it. So if you like your toys to have kind of a soft halo of fluff to them, like how wool yarn, pretty much all wool yarn does, this does have that. It has a very soft halo. It's not the same as like a fuzzy halo that would be distracting. It's very soft. It's very minimal. And I've been tossing this toy around in my hands for probably like 2 hours now, just back and forth, kind of like a hacky sack kind of thing. In fact, I've had people look at these and think that they were hacky sacks, which was entertaining. I had one lady pick one up because she thought it was a scented toy. It was awkward to kind of like watch her face just drop as she smelled just like the regular acrylic smell. So potentials for future ideas for somebody, not me. Scent these. I don't have the space to put into scenting these. You could also put a pound, one of those dollar store balloon weights. You could put a single pound weight into this so that it becomes more of like a desk pet as a paperweight. That would be a good idea for these, especially in terms of the whale shape. I will link the pattern down below. It is less a pattern and more of a recipe because you can pretty easily change where you want your fins to be compared to your tail fins. I've done so many of these now that I just kind of wing it as I go. I just kind of like play it by ear. I gave up trying to get my tails exactly in the center. Every now and then it accidentally happens. But whenever they're almost exactly in the center, the fins are not centered properly. So especially with the 42 around instead of 30 around. This is a very easy pattern. I could even just go ahead and YouTube this pattern and record a video for you guys because it's the whale itself and the tummy and the stuffing is probably about 45 minutes. It is a very small, easy pattern to do. And the only difference between the time of making it is how big around you make it. So I make mine, like I said, 30 to 42, depending on the sizing that I want. I usually want them about tennis ball palm sized because I want them to be a good size for like kids and adults. I want to be something that like you see it on your shelf and you see it instead of having to squint to see it. I don't like tiny toys. I want good hand-sized toys. So would I recommend the yarn for amigurumi? Overall, yes. It is a very good wool alternative, and because it has the nylon and acrylic in it at almost a 50-50 split between the two of them, it has a lot of strength. So especially because it says it's machine washable. So if you're looking for a yarn that you can easily put together, it will have strength. It can go in the washing machine for your child because your child is terrifying to its toys or something. Definitely consider this yarn because I think that it will hold up very well over time. Yeah, I totally recommend this in terms of amigurumi people. It's not too expensive. It is kind of expensive Even when I was just Googling it now, it was coming up at about $6 to $8. I don't think I've spent more than like $4 or $5. Sometimes with just the print version might be more expensive. But yeah, this is it's a very stable utility yarn. It might even be good for making amigurumi that might be for a bathtub, like a bathtub toy, because some kids want that. It might be good for that because it is machine wash and tumble dry. So I imagine it would hold up to that. Your biggest concern with any toy that's going to be like a bath toy would always be the stuffing inside and making sure that you don't use safety eyes, especially for the younger children, because it's a choking hazard, and always keep that in mind. Is there anything else I can say about this yarn? Not really. So it is the only synthetic that I have left that I consistently use, that I have been consistently using. It has caused a little bit of pain in my arm between making a whole bunch of whales in the last couple of days and what my arm feels like. Refresher, my right arm is the arm that holds the hook. It's the one that has the pain. The pain is in the tendon from the pinky side of your hand all the way down to the elbow. The hand itself and the wrist itself do not experience pain. It is strictly the arm. And it could have just been something like, I slept on my arm funny. Could have been something simple like that. So because of its strength, because of it being a good wool alternative, I think that this would work well for some toys. It's not the cheapest yarn, but I think especially once you feel it in your hands and you feel how smooth it is, how like silky it is, it's almost like luxury. And I feel like the soft silkiness feeling of it is not a smoothness, like a luxury feeling that I've gotten from some wool yarns. Not yet anyway. There's some wool yarns in terms of certain colors having this sort of smoothness, but especially after they've been worked up, they don't retain that. This is a yarn where you feel its ball and it's soft and smooth in its ball form before you make it up into anything. And then you make it up into something and it retains that smoothness. And so that to me is very indicative of a very good quality yarn, because the qualities that you feel when it's in its ball form have translated once you have messed around with them in crochet form. And so I definitely think this is a great yarn to pick up, to try out. It's a fantastic wool alternative because there's nothing in it, and it's machine washable. I don't know if I will continue to use it. I will do a follow-up after I finish this ball of yarn. I'm almost done with it. I will do a short follow-up of whether or not I deem it worthy to be part of my thing long term. It might not be. It might be that I just buy like 1 or 2 balls of it, just as like a thing to switch things up in terms of colors, because it does have colors, especially in the print variety. It does have colors that I cannot find in wool. I could, but they don't have the exact same look. This is like a heathered antique denim look to them. And so to me, that's kind of interesting, visually interesting to look at. Yeah, but I do have more whales to finish up with this ball of yarn. I can probably get 3 more whales, maybe 4 out of what's left in the ball. And I'll be stuffing these in the next coming days, so I will have that information shortly. I did buy this yarn from Wool & Co. I will link it down below, and I will also link you to essentially a recipe to make these whales, because it's not a standard pattern. I don't follow a standard pattern. Every single one is unique, and I think it's important for you to have some guidance on making these whales, but I think it's important for you to make them your own, because every single crochet person is going to want their whale to be a little bit different. And I think that adds to the endearing part of it being hand quality. We are not machines. We are humans, and humans make mistakes, and We cannot make things perfect every single time. Even the tension from stitch to stitch, row to row cannot be identical because we are not a machine. All right. Again, this was about on Wool & Co.'s website and Google. It's about $6.50 for the print version. It's about $6 for the regular version. Depends on where you buy it from. It's probably on sale. It's definitely worth picking up and testing and seeing if you like it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Get up, stretch your legs, drink water, all of those lovely things. Bye, guys.